Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a review slash discussion for Servant of Earth because I actually quite like this book and it has been a long time, and I mean a long time since I've enjoyed a romantasy, and especially because this one is not very much a romantasy. There's like a few like romance plots in it, but not really. So yeah, this is The Servant of Earth by Sarah Hawley. Haley? Not quite sure how she pronounces her last name. This is about a girl named Kenna, and basically she lives in this village that's the borderline of the Fae world. And every so often they do like these kind of like sacrifices to the Fae because they have like this kind of, how would you call it, like bonding pact that was supposed to like join the two worlds together. And so every couple years, like I think it was 6, they send out a group of people that are randomly selected to try and face this trial to get to the Fey world. um, Unfortunately, Kanna's best friend, Anya, ends up getting selected, and instead of letting her go by herself, she follows the group of chosen people along, and of course, the trials are not at all what they thought they were supposed to be, and she ends up losing her and ends up in this Fey realm by herself. And this Fey realm is not at all what they thought it was. You know, they thought it was like this very glamorous lifestyle, and they'd go and live with the Fae and all that good stuff. And she finds that she's actually in this Fae world that's under an oppressive government ruler, and it's actually this very dark world. They hate humans, they're treated as lesser than, and they cut out like the tongues of their servants and stuff so they can't speak. And basically, since none of the sacrifices ever make it back to the Fae realm alive, they decide to just kind of keep her as entertainment. And so they kind of stick her with what is Earth House. So the Fae, basically, they're kind of grouped up into different elemental houses. There's like, it was like light, earth, void, illusion, and then blood, which doesn't exist anymore, and that's like a whole plot point in the book. But so just despite Earth House, he puts her as their human servant, and basically what's happening is that during this time, the Fae are also going through a trial of their own. They're trying to pick out their leadership, and they usually do this by going through these trials because they have these magic stones that are kind of like otherworldly entities, and then they judge you at the end of the trial to see if you are worthy of keeping like your magic and power or having it taken away. So this is like a huge deal to these houses and their loyalty, their royalty. And so she gets stuck with like the Earth House's um, daughter, basically, and she has to try and coach her and help her through the trials. And she only gets to like keep her tongue and stuff because she needs to be able to communicate with her during the trials. So it's really interesting. I actually really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed like the dark aspect of it. This I would actually highly recommend for people who like, not who like dark romances. If you want a dark romance aspect but still have like the integrity of the characters kept and like not like the abuse or anything like that, I think you would really like this, because like the world and stuff is dark, but what happens to the characters not so much. There's actually really good character development and character building in this book. So now that I've kind of just described the plot, we'll get into the characters. So as I said, the main character is Kenna, and then her friend Anya, who ends up disappearing in like the second, third chapter of the book. And then one of the first people she meets, other than um, the king, which sends her to Earth House, is Laura, which is bleh, the royalty that she is basically serving for. And then there is Justin, which is from the firehouse, and he's kind of like this hot-headed playboy type of character. And then the other lovish interest is Callan from Void, and he is like this stereotypical, like dark, broody. People are kind of like afraid of him because he is what they consider to be like the king's right hand man. And like I said, this is a oppressive government. They are under the monarchy of one very strict and very cruel ruler, as you will find throughout reading the book. And he comes off as being very loyal to other people, so they are basically afraid of him. They're afraid that he'll like rat them out for wrong speak to like the king and stuff, or like conspiracy and like, thoughts of mutiny, or just like things like, oh man, I hate the king, stuff like that. They're afraid of him for. And I actually found that I liked Callan the most. He actually ended up being my favorite character because I thought they wrote his character very well, because throughout the book, the more she interacts with him, that you find that he's really not at all what he is like coming off as, not what people think he is, and that his situation isn't because he wants to be there. It's basically because he doesn't have a choice, and he's basically threatened into it and thrown into it. And it's very good, and I found that he actually had the most development out of like the two like romantic aspects. And I don't know. I just really liked him the most. Maybe I just like the dark brooding type. I don't know. But I actually find that they kind of like switch the archetype a little bit, because he's not necessarily so broody. You find that he's actually a very enjoyable character, and he has actually a quite a bit of like a playful personality. And so I ended up really liking him. And I actually really liked Laura too. I didn't like her at first because she's very like, has that very stuck up, like snotty demeanor that you would like expect of like royalty, or like the rich popular preppy girls. But like again, and like I said, the character development in this is very well, and she actually ends up developing this really close bond with Kenna, and it's just so good. And you realize throughout the book that she has this, it's not necessarily her personality. You find that she is actually a very timid person and just kind of afraid of the people and environment around her. And she just kind of puts on this more stuck up persona to try and cope and deal with the world around her. Like when you see the way her mother treats her, and the way the people around her act, and like just the way the ruling and royalty is, you start to understand why she has that personality choice. It's very good. um the writing style is in third person. I really This book actually really surprised me because it has very good character development, and it has a very good like writing style and description to it. And I was really surprised because I've read her other books and I really didn't like them. She's the one who did oh god, what was it called? A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon, and then A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch, and A Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire. And I just didn't really like them. They were not my favorite. I thought they were very rushed. The descriptions weren't done well. Everything was very plot convenient. And like the characters just were severely underdeveloped, not very good. And you know they're just going to end up together because that's kind of the point of the story because they are romances, obviously. But this book had a very clear direction that it wanted to go in. You knew, not like necessarily knew what was going to happen, but you could kind of guess to it. And the characters were very thought out. Everything that was put into the book very clearly had like a meaning to it and where it was going to end up in the end. And I really appreciate that out of this book. And I think this one is so well written and so well done because she just wrote a story. She wasn't trying to make like a very romance specific book. But maybe her writing style just got better. Maybe she learned from her other books and she just developed the characters more. I don't know, but this one was very good and it really surprised me. Um yeah, I think I really like this one too because she really took like those stereotypical character archetypes and then flipped them into, like I said, the character development is so good because you have like the snotty, stuck up character get flipped and turn out to be like this actual very shy, timid person. And then you have like the playboy who you think is gonna be like her love interest, and then they flip it. And I don't want to go into it too much because it kind of spoils the end a little bit, but like I really liked what they did with this because it shows that like I was actually kind of impressed with this because in her other book she was not good at like doing character twists, but this one was really good because it shows like because throughout the book you're thinking that her relationship with Justin, there's not like a lot to it and you're just kind of like, oh, she's gonna end up with this one obviously. And she doesn't. I'm so glad because at the end of the book she doesn't end up with either of them, thankfully. But like I was saying, they did this flip and you see how he really is, what his colors are really like, and you see that he was just kind of using her and using these other girls for like this rebellion purposes, and how he's actually very self-serving. And I really like that, and I like that the main character was smart enough to realize that. She was smart enough to realize that he was just kind of using her. And so she doesn't end up with him. She calls him out for it too. And that just makes me so happy because I'm so tired of like romanticies and books where the main like love interest is an asshole and they just kind of ignore it and then they just end up with them anyway. And I'm just like, hell no. So I actually really like that in this one. And I really hope she ends up with Callan. Honestly, I love him so much. Like they made his character like so, I want to say like organic. I just want to feel like the relationship between them, the building of it is more organic than with Justin. Um the one thing I didn't really like about the writing style though is I feel like she could have been more creative with the names. Like I I I am thankful that the names are basic because they are Fae, and I hate when people try to make them sound like super Germanic, or like they try to make them sound super whimsical and like make it try to sound like some super long Gaelic name that's like impronounceable. So I am actually pretty happy that they gave them like really basic names. But like the categorization of Fae is kind of weird because there's just like the Fae and then the Under Fae, and then they have like the little ankle biter fairies and they're just called like the Nasties. And it's like, I don't know. You could have thought of something more original than the Nasties. Like, I get it. They're nasty little ankle biters, but it's like kind of takes you up a little bit every time you read it. You're just like, the Nasties. I don't know. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed how she didn't end up with anyone in the end. I enjoyed that she said no to the love interest, and I'm just so thankful for it because he's such a dick. And yeah, I just really liked it. I really liked the character development. I really liked the relationship between her and Laura and how it grew over time and how they how would you say that, like, not necessarily start off hating each other, but just like, not really seeing each other's view into just becoming friends. And I love that type of aspect in a book. So, yeah. And luckily, there is a second book coming out. And I am so excited because it did leave off on a bit of a cliffhanger. And I wasn't sure if she was gonna put out another book because in the author's note she talked about how like she was struggling to get this published and put out. So it's like, oh no, there may not be another book, but there is another book. It is confirmed and it is on pre-order right now. So I am so excited. It doesn't come out to September though, which really upsets me, but it's okay. It's okay. So, yeah, that was Servant of Earth. I really enjoyed this book. I highly recommend it. You don't even have to like romantasy to enjoy this book. It is like 2% romance and 98% just fairy nonsense. But yeah, like I said, if you wanted like a dark universe, but you don't want like bad things happening to the characters, then this is a good one to pick up. Highly recommend. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you've read this before, let me know what you think of it. Let me know if I've turned you on to this book, and if you want to check it out now, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to see some more bookish content, you can follow me on Instagram at Magic Moonbuns. And yeah, see you guys next time. Bye.